Strawberry, strawberry, berry, berry, strawberry.
Here are all the books that I read in for the month of April, set chronologically from my worst read to my best read. But first, welcome to Nushiverse. This is me, Anushila, who makes book-related videos and vlogs every week. And if that's your jam, do consider subscribing to this channel. I pick up the worst first and then save the best for the later. So, starting off not so strong, The Favorites by Lane Fargo. This book is portrayal under part perfectionist, part coming of age, and part under romance genre. Here in the book, we follow our young protagonist, which is Katrina Shaw, who has idealized her whole life around ice dancing, particularly to this one particular athlete called Sheila Lee. Thus, Katrina being having dreams, living, breathing, and literally to represent her country for the Olympics and to become a gold medalist, as to go as close as possible to her idealist Sheila Lee. So I rated this book 1 out of 5 star. I felt the whole story was a poor retelling of the Wuthering Heights as it claims to be. The character of the books were annoying. They were terribly childish and immature throughout the book, even when they grew up. And the only thing they did good was to hurt each other throughout the books. Like every one of them are just hurting each other throughout the books, and I do not get why. Initially, there was a glimpse of hope when the story started. However, it just went planned and downhill from the mid of the story. And a nail on the coffin was that cheating trope, which the author somehow tried to normalize in the story, which makes zero sense to me. Following the mood, we have a next romance book, which is The Pictures of You by Emma Gray. So let's just slow down and pause for a bit. Like, imagine you woke up in the hospital bed, considering yourself to be a 16-year-old, only to find out that you're 29 years old and you have a husband who is now dead, and also you do not recollect any memories from the past 13 years. The main character of this book, Evie, retraces her steps to her memories of her older life, which is when she was 16 years old, only to find what went wrong. Throughout the process, she just unfolds a series of bad and ugly decisions that distant her from everything and everyone she ever loved, and to become a version her younger self thoroughly despised. I rated this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Though I thoroughly loved the premise of the book, however, it just got bland and slow in the midsection of the book, with a bunch of loose ends which is not properly explained at the conclusion of the book. And on to mention that the ending of the book also felt a bit rushed, like the author somehow tried to compensate for the slow midsection to wrap it up in one go at the conclusion part. Altogether, the ending just did not justify the story and left me with a weird face like this and a lot of questions. Moving on to the next read, we have The Shadow of Wind with Carlos Louis Zafón. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right, but I'm trying. This story revolves around our protagonist Daniel, who coincidentally found a book, The Shadow of the Wind by Julian Carks, and when he tries and locates his other books, he only to find out that someone in the city is going around burning the novels of Julian Carks, and he is the only one with the last copy. Premise of the story is dark, gloomy, and perfect for a rainy day read, consisting of all the major parts like mysteries, suspense, thriller, romance, and also a big portion of it is a coming of age story. I rated this book 3.5 stars because I had huge expectations from this book, which the book failed to deliver, unfortunately. So when I just first heard about this book, I have heard so many good reviews about this book on Goodreads. However, I felt that the book was kind of burdened by the ambition of the author. Like, he wanted to push so many things only to mess up the primary plot. He failed to execute the primary plot. He just introduced characters which were not readily needed for the book. He just picked up this character, gave up hope, and I was like, meh, I don't want to talk about them anymore. It's just like I don't like them anymore. I don't know why I picked the characters up, but yeah, they are here. And he just moves on from this character without giving us any insightful details about them whatsoever. Just makes you starve for those characters more because you are initially seeing them, right? And then they are just nowhere to be seen throughout the book, which is very, you cannot do that. You have to give the readers to at least a proper conclusion of those characters, which was not given to me. Also, I felt like the book repeatedly crosses lines between dramatic and melodramatic. Like, the internal thoughts of the main protagonist Daniel crosses from their internal thoughts to a personal monologues, which is very tedious and dragging at times, and which makes you just stop reading the books and just not continue with it. Also makes the book a bit boring. There were very unnecessary detailed explanations of certain characters, and also the love triangles that the author tried to portray. Like, few characters don't need a love triangle, but they were facing a love triangle, which I did not like, which literally spoiled the plot of the book, which actually dragged the book down. Those things were not needed at all. The book also created such a hype initially, like it was building up a story, and the conclusion was just like, okay. When I read the climax of the book, I was like, okay, well, all this for this? Like, all this for nothing? The way the author was collecting all these stories, creating the ambience, creating the drama, however, the climax was such a... yeah, that's what it. The book altogether made me starved. I wanted a lot more from the book. So now for our next read, we will drive our focus to some Indian literature, and of my favorite book of this month. So the book I'm talking about is A Clear Light of Day by Anita Desai. This book follows 4 siblings, namely Tara, Bimla, Raja and Baba. Their dynamics with each other and their relationships and bonds with each other. Tara, being married to a diplomat, visits India only once a year, which sparks the feeling of nostalgia, chaos and confusion inside her in terms of the relationship with her siblings and also with her old house. Bimla, being unmarried, she is teaching young girls in a nearby college. She is a professor of history and she takes care of their differently abled youngest brother Baba. And also somewhat we see that she is also managing their father's business. We see that the Tara's visit to their old house also creates a feeling of turmoil side of Bimla, which also sparks the hidden and unattended memories of her childhood, which is shown to be in a different perspective than that of Tara. This book talks about unspoken secrets of middle class household of Indian families and their dynamics, which relatively impacts individuals and the growing children. I rated this book a solid 4th star. I really loved the premise of the book, the portrayal of 2 sisters who are so different from each other yet so similar. This is such a genius work of art. In one sentence, it won't be wrong to say that this book will give you a wider perspective and also a different lens to view and see and analyze your relationship from a very different angle, which will give you the strength of understanding them more than judging them. So now we are finally in our top 3 books of this month. Third number, it is A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen L. Peck. This story follows our protagonist who died young in a chronic disease, and he finds himself in front of Satan, who is shortlisting people in their destined hell on the basis of their life records and their personality. The book starts off really interesting. The protagonist was expecting hell to be a burning and fiery pits and being boiled alive, rather to find that he is being placed in a hell where there is just a library which is endless. There are rows and rows of books with pages containing absurd writing which doesn't even make any sense. Inmates of the hell are only allowed to cross it over to their promised afterlife once they find the book that thoroughly explains the life that they have lived. I rated this book a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was such a banger. The most intriguing part of this book was that it messes with the traditional concept of hell, like rather than burning or demons or pits of fire, real hell was confrontation of the protagonist with his own life and with his existence and with all those things that he has or hasn't done in his life. The book is thought-provoking, witty and dark. Everything I love in a book. Second runner-up of this entire month is The Reservoir Bitches by Dalia de la Carda. I read the translated version by Julia Sanchez and Ethel Cleary. So this book is a collection of short stories highlighting the femicide and crime against women in the country Mexico. The book is sharp, raw and unapologetic. It throws light upon all those women who are usually glossed over and erased by the history or literature, are failed to be considered as a big issues. We get to see this character so personally, like it's almost seems criminal, like it seems like we are reading their personal journals with darkest prayers, darkest secrets, darkest humor and also the unbelievable tinging pain which will just enrage you. And being a woman, when I was reading it, I did not expect this book to be so raw that just it made me so angry that I felt like I should burn this entire society down. I rated this book solid 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really loved it and heartily recommend this to everyone to read at least once. And finally, we are almost done with this video, and finally my most favorite read of this month, which is also the only 5-star read of this month, The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Leo Tolstoy. It's a classic book and also a very heavy read on your mind and on your heart. So this book follows our protagonist Ivan Ilyich, who has achieved literally everything that the society considered to be successful. Although Ivan Ilyich considered himself adequately successful, doing everything as per the societal norm of successful and adjusting himself to the higher end of the hierarchy of the social ladder. However, on his deathbed, he realized that he is not happy at all. He considers this feeling that he has not lived his life at all, though he tries to convince himself that he has done everything, literally everything, as per the society, as per the interests of the society. The book talks about classism and success, which is only to deal with the elite people and match their standards in the society, and which has nothing to do with the personal satisfaction, goals, or personal relationships of the protagonist or an individual. It also makes us realize that it's not the hierarchical status or the so-called success that the society has set for us, but the feeling of content and satisfaction which make us hate ourselves a bit lesser than we usually do. So that's it for this video. If you were connected to me till the end, thank you for watching with my all heart. I'm really grateful for you guys that you watched this video till the end. And if you do like the content, please not forget to like and comment your views as well in the comment section, and do subscribe to this channel so that I can bring you videos like this often, and which also motivates me to make more videos like this. Thank you so much. Bye.